Thank you all for coming to class today. Sorry I'm a tiny bit late. I've been having a bit of a battle with my pet cannibalistic squirrel today. Music? I'm going for more of a thriller vibe to my classroom today. You know, like a horror movie? Okay everyone, listen as I read out the instructions on the board. First, you little scoundrels will give me subject ideas. Whenever I see one I like, I'll begin to teach on that subject. After teaching, I'll start to ask questions to verify your pitiful understanding. And then, we'll go back to me getting subject ideas from you all. Does everyone understand? Good, we've cleared that up. Now spam subject ideas for me. Today's lesson will be on the history of the internet. I'm sure most of you have heard of the internet. Some of you, spend a little too much time on it. I'm looking at you, Luceo. The internet is actually a relatively new thing. The first earliest instance of the internet emerging was in the 1960s as a US Army project, and the first message to be sent over ARPANET, the earliest prototype of the internet, was simply LO. The first line that they tried, login, crashed the system. The internet's humble beginnings with the communication of LO has developed into the means with which you all have communication with me. Wouldn't you agree that's much more important? The first message over the internet being LO could be seen as symbolic. Maybe the internet being born was the beginning of us all logging in. Billions of people joining one interconnected void, slowly disconnecting from the physical while logging into the virtual. I'm going a little off topic, but do you think people think we'll have dedicated digital afterlives in the future? A digital heaven, hell, limbo, Tartarus. How interesting. What would that even look like anyway? How would one even be admitted? Would morals still factor into it, or is there some ranking algorithm that determines our fate? I think in a digital afterlife you should only be able to use usernames you've used online as your name. Was given name not anonymous enough for you? That's unfortunate. I guess you were just connected to the wrong network. Let me ask a few questions. If there was a digital afterlife, would you prefer there being a ranking algorithm that decides your position, or would you rather have morality determine your fate? Are there any other ways you could be admitted? I think entry should be based on merit. Maybe you could be admitted on how much you've improved the world of the living, for example. Doing charity work, doing stuff that improves our quality of life, etc. Maybe there should also be a lottery system too, to spice things up. What if entry to the digital afterlife was based on randomness, but the asterisk contents asterisk were based on ranking? You're given salvation one moment, then thrown in eternal damnation the next. Wouldn't that be thrilling? I think I'd have a lot more fun in that kind of afterlife. Now it's time for some questions to see if you all were paying attention. Thank you for submitting your answers on when was the first instance of the internet. I see some of you being very confident with your answers, cocky even. Make sure you don't regret that. Filtered. 282, huh? That's a lot of people who got it correct. But what about those 24 people? Those 24 people are outliers and will be weeded out come heaven-hell time, if that's not already happened. And yes, that's heaven-hell time for the digital afterlife before anyone gets pedantic. What do you guys think the first message over the internet should have been instead? In hindsight, LO is kind of lame. Probably should have been something more creative. Filtered. Guys, don't pick Skynet, please. Phew, only a couple people picked Skynet. Dodged a bullet there. Maybe the first message should have been, new net who dis, to keep in line the traditions of the internet. Or perhaps something more profound. First messages should be akin to opening lines of literature. They should capture the beauty of ARPANET, the wonder of its creation, the magnitude of its impact. Let me ask, if you had $1 million, what would you spend it on? For me, buying ARPANET is in the top 3. My poll creating powers seem to have been revoked. However, I feel as though good morning could have been a good alternative. What do you think the original creators of ARPANET, funded by the DoD, would think of the internet today? Would they be proud? Would they be horrified? I think they're rolling in their grave, to be honest. Probably was that third one there. Let me be honest, if the internet didn't progress past ARPANET, we'd probably still at least have used it for 90s classmate intranet forums. Supposedly Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. But honestly, how would we even know if this were true? How do we know Mark Zuckerberg isn't just writing the history of the internet and making himself look good? I mean, I think he deserves a little bit of credit for pioneering the internet. Google is almost as old as me, wow. I'm not sure if I should be impressed that it's done so much in 26 years, or sad I haven't achieved as much. That's a lot of people who got it wrong, actually. The next question might be a little easier. Who here actually knows any HTML? You'd better have gotten that question correct if you ever claim to have even programmed a little. Sure, HTML isn't a programming language, but if you answered 2, 3, or 4, you don't deserve to ask that question. Haha, imagine using Safari as your primary browser. Don't let me catch you using it. That one was totally not obvious, but the answer is Mosaic. How many of you will admit to getting it wrong? Not that it matters as long as you all remember it from now on. I'd say that's more important. HTTP is so obvious. Like really obvious. That one just goes over how little some of you know about computers. Even if you don't get the question right, I'm still proud of you for trying your best. Tried can still be written on your gravestone. Anyone who doesn't know what URL stands for has never touched the internet before. I bet the people who get this wrong are the ones who use Safari. Wow, just 150 people got it correct that time. You guys are so hopeless, OMG. I'm not even sure I want to write anything on the board at this point. I'm just gonna start sobbing. It was MySpace for all you Zoomers out there. Also the birth of how we think about social networks, rankings, and hierarchies online. That was my last question. It's time to reflect, don't you think? Maybe on some of the answers and what they mean for the history of the internet, or even reflect on how you got 90% of the answers wrong. Congratulations to _God the First and the other top performers. You all performed very well, especially when compared to the people at the bottom of the leaderboard, not naming names. Did you all have fun? Or is your idea of fun only shooting up schools, prisons, or subways?